He is East Carolina interim head coach Blake Harrell. I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com. This is the latest Our Coaching Network podcast. Coach, we said it off camera. I'll say it now that everything's rolling. You might be the hottest coach in America. 3-0 since taking over as interim, and I believe you took over as interim head coach on your 45th birthday. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, John. Appreciate you the nice words there. And I don't know if I'm the hottest, but certainly having a good time. And I don't know if I have enough time to pay attention to what anybody else is doing across the country.
Well, that's probably why you've won all three games since you've become interim head coach. You were the defensive coordinator, so now you've got added responsibilities. Let's just start right there. How are you managing your days, and what's a typical day like for you right now?
Yeah, so first thing is it takes a village to get this thing done, and you kind of rely on your staff, your seniors, your players. We kind of been rallying around those seniors to make sure we're all pulling in the right direction and had the same motivation. Because as you mentioned, this thing could have went a lot of different ways, and we're just fortunate enough to win 3 games in a row here. And for me, from a defensive standpoint, it was more about like I didn't want to put that on somebody else at the time. So in case it did go the wrong way or just kind of I want to hold responsibility for that, and just kind of added the head coaching responsibilities on top of that. So during the day, I spend most of my time just trying to find out where the players are and spend as much time with those guys as I can, and doing the head coaching thing throughout the day. And then at night, kind of when everybody's out of the office, you kind of spend more time doing the defensive coordinator stuff. So it's been a blessing and just been really good so far.
What has been the key? 3 wins in 3 weeks, and I don't want to bury anything here, but you guys only won 2 games all of last year. So in 3 weeks' time or 15 days' time, something like that, you have more wins than you had all of last year. You're suddenly bowl eligible at 6-4. What do you attribute that to?
The young men in our locker room and just our players and the way they've rallied and the way they've kind of bought into everything we're doing. I asked them for 3 things. I said, hey, I'm going to be upfront, honest with you in this whole situation. I said, grown men have finished what they started. So let's go through this and let's finish what we started. Let's do it for these seniors. The seniors only had 5 games left at the time. We've earned a 6th game, a bowl game through this whole thing. But if you're a freshman or sophomore, you're kind of thinking about the next step or December or the portal or whatever it may be. So it was kind of rallied around those seniors. And then the 3 things I asked them for is kind of, stick together and play for each other. Play harder than your opponent, play harder than anybody else you play against, and then have more energy for each other. So everything we started with was celebrating the little things. We made a good play, we want to celebrate it. And we get a first down, celebrate it. We get a third down stop, let's celebrate it. And that was kind of where it started, and it's kind of more from there. But, we had to do that in practice. We had to set up periods of our practice where, hey, we finished with a team score. We scored in the end zone, and everybody's down there celebrating. And I think if you want to do that on game day, you better find a way to do it in practice as well. So that's kind of where we started.
Has it become contagious? It sounds like it's become infectious that you started that on the practice field and it's carried over to the game day.
Yeah, game one, I was worried about was getting a personal foul or a penalty. I think we did get a couple sideline warning, and but as long as you're having things go right in the game and that you can celebrate and your guys are excited about it, I don't think you can be too upset as a coach.
What do you learn about the character of the coaches that are battling still with you? What do you learn about the culture of your program and the way it's grown the last month?
Yeah, you learn a lot, not only about your locker room and talk about the players and the men in there, but on your coaching staff as well. It is not just about me. It's not about one particular person. It's about us, is what we keep saying. And just our staff and John David Baker on the offensive side and the rest of our coaching staff, the way they've kind of pulled together. Because they could have easily went at it as well and pointed fingers and, hey, I told you this, I told you that. And if that told those guys, if we would have done that, the players would have done that. So they've done a great job of, getting even tighter, being a tighter knit staff and make sure we're all pulling the same direction, and trying to pull up slack here and there for each other, mostly for me. But they've been awesome and really speaks to these last 5 games in some ways is our resume. What we're able to do with a team that, we're taking over in maybe a bad situation, some would call it, this opportunity, and just how we respond to the adversity at the time. It says a lot about our staff and the men they are and the women they are and just how they handled that. So just really proud of those guys.
He is East Carolina interim head coach Blake Harrell. I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com here on the Our Coaching Network podcast. You referenced J.D. Baker, a really bright young offensive mind. What is the dynamic been like between the two of you? You obviously already had to have a lot of communication as the defensive coordinator and he the offensive coordinator, but
But
what's it been like since you took over October 20th?
yeah, like you mentioned, when you're the DC and OC, you have a lot of communication with scripts and things like that. Now it's more of, hey, we're talking about how, a plan to win the game as overall and some things like that and how to manage the game. Some things as a defensive coach you don't think about beforehand. But we've had some great conversations of that, and just really has been the way he handles things. Could have went a different way, and could have been like, hey, I got my thing over here, I'm handling it. Well, he's been awesome, and just can't speak highly enough about him and the job he's doing. I think in the last 3 games, we scored 49, 56, and 38. So to say our offense is rolling would say the least to it. So just, doing a really heck of a job over there. And we knew all along it would take a few games to get those guys rolling, but they certainly are right now.
I would be very terrible at my job if I didn't ask about the importance of your family support. I think you and your wife have 3 children.
Yeah.
What has that dynamic been like for you? How key has your family support system been during this?
It's been awesome. My wife has been fantastic, and we took this thing over. She took it on, right away, and just really what a head coach's wife you expected from a head coach's wife. So it wasn't like, hey, you're the interim role or you're the substitute teacher role. You're more of, hey, we're gonna go attack this thing, and she gets the wives together. She's with me at the basketball game. She's with me at the volleyball game, and just doing everything we can to let this community know that, hey, we're a part of this place, and we want to be here, and this is not what we're doing just for this opportunity, but what we would do, move forward. And this is who we are, and this is why we care about East Carolina, why we care about the young men in our locker room. And my wife is such a big part of that, and our 3 daughters, 7th grader, 3rd grader, and 1st grader, they're Pirates through and through right now.
That's awesome. You say you want to be there. I think this is year 5 for you there, but you're a North Carolina native. Just what does it mean to you to have this opportunity and to be in this position in your home state?
Yeah, just I grew up a small town, country boy, really, so to speak, and that's what East Carolina is about. It's east of 95, and it's a lot of farmland out here, and a lot of just people from small towns and hard work, blue collar folks, just like myself, how I grew up. And for me to be a part of that has been pretty special. And being part of Pirate Nation has been pretty special. And I think that I really fit here and fit this culture and this university and this program.
Once again, he is Blake Harrell, interim head coach at East Carolina, 3-0 as interim head coach in a program that had been, I think, 5-14 before you took over on October 20th. Again, I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com here on the Our Coaching Network podcast. I've got to ask you, your journey in coaching is pretty fascinating. You've got high school work on your resume, NCAA D2, Lenore-Rhyne, before Lenore-Rhyne was the D2 power that it currently is, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you also climbed to the Citadel, and then just I think 6 years after making the FCS leap, you're a Division I FBS coordinator. What has this coaching journey been like you? What are some of your favorite moments along the way?
I've been fortunate to be around some awesome people throughout my career and throughout everywhere I've been through the game of football. There was a guy that really kind of motivated me to be a coach when I was a high school player. His name was Jeff Collins. He coached me in high school. He was doing his student teaching at my high school, and just seeing his energy and his love for the game, his excitement, kind of motivated me. I said, I want to be like Jeff Collins one day. And and all I wanted to be was a high school coach and a head high school coach. And then I had the opportunity to get into to college at Lenore-Rhyne with Fred Goldsmith, former Bobby Dodd Award winner, who taught me like how you treat anybody is how you treat everybody, from the person in housing to the president of the school to the janitor. And it was pretty special to be around him. And then we had our time at the Citadel with Coach Houston and had some really good years there. And Coach Thompson took over, beat South Carolina there, won 2 conference championships, which is a tough place to do it at. Was at Kennesaw State with Brian Bohannon, and just was amazed by how he had everybody on the same page, to the same standard, the same accountability. And, did things different. That was really just, hey, you can still don't have to grind, you still have to get your work done, but you still have time for family. And I thought that was one important thing Coach Bohannon taught me. And then, just had the opportunity to come here to East Carolina. And, it's been an awesome experience. And hopefully we can finish this thing up the right way this year for these seniors as well.
Yeah, a couple of more games left in the regular season. As you noted, you're 6-4. You've clinched bowl eligibility.
Yep.
What's the message to your team moving forward? How do you maintain the consistency?
Yeah, it hasn't changed since I took over 4 weeks ago. It's, hey, worry about today. Let's don't worry about December. Let's don't worry about what could happen. Let's focus on the day. And, you know, it's WIN, what's important now, and win the day. Those are the big things we're talking about. And if it's practice, if it's meetings, if it's academics, if it's doing the right thing, let's focus on the day. And if we'll focus on the process, then come Saturday when it's time to go play, we'll be ready for that. And then the outcome will turn out the way we want it to too. So we can't worry about like what what happened against Temple, FAU, or Tulsa at this point. We got to worry about today, and then on Saturday, it's more about us than it is North Texas. Obviously, we respect the heck out of Coach Morris and what they've been able to do there and what they got going. But we keep talking about it's about us. It ain't about me or I or any individual, but about us and kind of accomplishing our goals together and staying tight and then in order to have a chance to win a ball game on Saturday.
This is your final road game, East Carolina's final road game of the season at North Texas this Saturday, as you referenced. With everything that this team has gone through this year and the changes, do you find you guys sort of drawing even tighter, even more close knit when you go on the road with maybe an us against the world mentality?
Yeah, you do. I wish we were in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in front of our fans and in front of our student body. But you do find that when you go on the road, it's kind of hey us against the world mentality, as you spoke about. And when you're in that hotel or when you're in that locker room, it's just us, and it's just those 70 guys in there together, and they can really look each other in the eye and get a good feel. Like, hey, let's go do it for each other, and let's go play for these seniors, and let's go lay it on the line, and let's see if we can make this thing happen.
You're gracious with your time, and you've never had more time demands than right now. So I want to wrap this up. I don't want to abuse your generosity of visiting with us here. So last couple of questions. I'll start with a fun one. I like to try and ask the different coaches on here, what's maybe the craziest job or the most demanding part of your career evolution? We've had guys that were driving delivery trucks or working as a prison guard in Memphis or stocking shelves at a grocery store overnight. So before you're an FBS or even an FCS defensive coordinator, what were maybe
Yeah.
some of those tough jobs you had in Western North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, when I finally graduated college, it only took about 6 years to do that. That wasn't because I got redshirted either, but you know,
Academic red shirt.
academic red shirts. Yeah, I started out as a middle school teacher. When I was going through college, I owned my own lawn business, so I was cutting grass and weed eating banks and stuff like that. But then I started out as a middle school teacher, and you know, learned that the middle school age child is pretty tough to deal with. So got on to high school, and that was a little easier. But there's been some wild ones out there at times, and when you're a high school teacher or Division II coach, you're always trying to look for a side hustle as well because you need that. But the game of football has just been really good to me.
And the last one, you've sort of had to microwave your first college head coaching experience. You've had everything crammed in here to the month since your birthday when you were named interim on October 20th. Why here today, Blake Harrell, are you a better coach than you were October 15th?
You see things from a different view, that's for sure. You're only worried about when you're the coordinator, your side of the ball and getting stops or getting first downs or scoring or not, keeping the opponent from scoring. Now all of a sudden, obviously you got the game management program you're worried about. And as a coordinator, you're only worried about 60 guys on your side of the ball. Now you're worried about 120 guys. You're worried about the training room. You're worried about the equipment room, the nutritionist, the weight room, and making sure everybody's pulling in the same direction. Make sure everybody knows that this thing takes everybody to get the job done, and let everybody know how much you appreciate them. I think, as people, when somebody tells us how much they appreciate us, we're willing to go the extra mile for that person or for that program or for that goal or vision. And right now, just letting everybody know in the building that how much we appreciate them, how much we care about them and the job they're doing. And they go to work that much harder for the young men in our locker room and for these seniors.
Coach, I really appreciate it. You've got them rolling. Keep it rolling this weekend. Again, East Carolina interim head coach Blake Harrell, 3-0 since he took over, now has the Pirates Bowl eligible. I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com here on the Our Coaching Network. Coach, keep making it, keep winning them and keep putting all the pressure on everybody else. I love the fact that you've got some big things going. You're making John Gilbert have a good decision on his hands.
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on, John. And one game at a time, that's all that matters. And right now, it's North Texas.
I understand. Good luck down in Denton this week, Coach. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.